The scorching sun hung low over the dusty ranch, painting the horizon in molten gold and amber, casting long, distorted shadows over the rough wooden fences and the weathered barn. Amelia's hands trembled as she gripped the small scissors, their metal glinting in the fading sunlight, and her heart pounded fiercely, echoing in her ears like the frantic gallop of a wild stallion. "Please, don't shave it off," she pleaded, her voice quivering, thick with desperation and fear. Her long chestnut hair, silky and abundant, cascaded down her back like a river of memories, a tether to the past she could never truly reclaim. The last tangible connection to her late mother, whose gentle hands had once braided it in the quiet mornings before the world demanded their attention. Jake, the rancher, stood a few feet away, his broad frame rigid and immovable, the shadow of his body swallowing her small, fragile figure. Yet his presence radiated an unspoken authority, tempered by the faint tremor of hesitation in his dark eyes. He was 35, tall and muscular, his work-hardened hands and sun-scorched skin a testament to years of toil under the relentless sun. Yet the strength that made him a formidable rancher seemed strangely vulnerable in this moment. Caught between duty and empathy. "You know why it has to be done," he murmured quietly, his deep voice cutting through the hot, dry air like a low whistle, but his eyes betrayed him, flickering with doubt and the weight of regret. Amelia took a hesitant step back, wrapping her hands around the bundle of hair against her chest, tears glimmering like tiny, stubborn stars as they formed and slid down her cheeks, sparkling in the sunlight that fell in fractured beams through the open barn door. The moment stretched painfully, suspended in the heavy, dry air that smelled faintly of hay, dust, and the sharp tang of sweat. Every nerve in Amelia's body screamed for her to flee, yet she couldn't bring herself to turn away. This was her last stand, her silent plea for a shred of mercy, a fragment of her life she could still cling to in a world that had already demanded so much from her. She remembered the mornings her mother had braided her hair, whispering secrets about strength and resilience, about carrying yourself with pride even when the world seemed to conspire against you. That memory, soft and fleeting, wrapped around her heart like a warm shawl, and she couldn't let it go, not without a fight. Jake's hand twitched slightly, brushing against the rough fabric of his shirt as if he could hold back fate by sheer force of will. His jaw tightened, revealing the conflict etched in the lines of his face. The tension that had been building over the past hour finally concentrated into this singular, silent confrontation. He had promised to help her, to guide her. Yet the promise had become an invisible chain, dragging both of them into a confrontation neither wanted, but both knew was inevitable. Jake's hands trembled slightly, though his face remained rigid, etched with the same stoicism that had seen him through countless storms on the ranch, his 35-year frame tense, as though the very air around him weighed heavily, pressing down with a burden of duty and unspoken sorrow. That morning, he had made a promise, a solemn vow that he could not break, even if it meant causing Amelia pain, even if it tore at his own heart. Amelia's voice pierced the thick, warm air, rising desperate and pleading, full of raw emotion and unyielding fear. "I can't! It's all I have left of her!" she cried, clutching the long chestnut strands of her hair as though holding on to them could tether her to her past and the memory of her late mother. The sun dipped lower behind the distant hills, casting the ranch in molten gold and shadows that stretched across the dusty ground like fingers, heightening the tension in the silent, breathless expanse. AK turned his gaze away, eyes shadowed by the weight of responsibility, the memories of loss and obligation intertwining, pressing upon him with a relentless insistence that no man could fully escape. He could see the fear etched across Amelia's delicate features, the trembling in her hands, the shallow, quick rhythm of her breathing, each moment magnifying the ache in his chest. Finally, with a slow, deliberate motion that spoke of sorrow and determination, he lifted the scissors toward her hair, each movement weighted with the gravity of the choice he was about to make. Amelia flinched instinctively, her body shrinking away, her hands tightening their grip on the long, flowing strands, as if sheer will could shield them from the inevitable. Time seemed to freeze in that moment, the ranch around them fading into a quiet haze, broken only by the soft rustling of the wind through the tall grass, the occasional distant call of a hawk circling above, the gentle creak of weathered wood under the weight of years. Jake paused mid-air, scissors poised, and in that suspended instant, everything hung in balance. The past and present colliding, pain and hope intertwined, the fragile threads of memory and love straining against the harshness of necessity. His gaze met Amelia's, and for a long heartbeat, the world held its breath. Her eyes glimmered with unshed tears, reflecting the fading sunlight like fragile jewels, her chest rising and falling with shallow, rapid breaths. Something in him gave way. A crack in the facade of strength he had carried for so long, and he slowly, reluctantly lowered the scissors, letting them hang at his side, the metallic gleam catching the last light of the sinking sun. "We'll find another way," he whispered finally, his voice rough, thick with emotion that he had struggled to contain, a promise not of what must be done, but of what could yet be salvaged. Relief crashed over Amelia in trembling waves, a tidal force of gratitude, fear, and release. And she sank to the ground, hugging her knees to her chestnut of her hair spilling around her like a protective cloak, still vibrant, still hers. The air seemed to exhale with them, the tension dissipating slowly into the golden dusk, carrying away some of the weight that had pressed upon their shoulders, leaving behind a fragile hope and the unspoken acknowledgement that the bond between them had shifted, deepened, transformed in ways that words could scarcely capture. She looked up at him through blurred, glistening eyes, her lips trembling in a faint, grateful smile, and he returned it with a quiet nod, a small but significant acknowledgement of their shared understanding and the respect that had blossomed from fear, hope, and mutual vulnerability. The ranch around them was bathed in a soft amber glow, every shadow elongated, every detail sharp against the fading light. And in that quiet moment, Amelia felt the warmth of connection, the strength of memory, and the fragile, enduring hope that life could sometimes offer redemption without destruction. Jake lowered himself beside her eventually, sitting in silence, side by side, their shared breathing the only sound beyond the whispering wind, and in that simple act, a bridge was formed, one that neither time nor circumstance could easily sever. They stayed like that as the sun finally disappeared behind the horizon, painting the sky in shades of deep crimson and violet, the world around them fading into twilight. Yet their own universe remained suspended in that quiet, fragile peace, a testament to resilience, love, and the courage to choose mercy over duty.